Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about the Shadowhunters, episode 214, titled The Fair Folk, which premiered Monday, June 26, 2017 on Freeform on the 27th for Netflix, and I'm recording on the 30th. So it's been a few days since I've actually seen the episode, but this is the first time I've actually been able to sit down and actually talk about it for a few moments. So with that said, huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on the screen right now, and I'm telling you right now, I'm going to spoil a bit of it from the books, and I've only read the first 3 books, and it's been years since I've done so just keep that in mind though. But again, a huge spoiler alert warning right now. So let's start with the 10-minute clock, and let's begin with what happened in this episode. So first off, I just want to mention again that I'm loving the title sequence that we got this season. I know I mentioned it when we first got to see it at the beginning of the season, but every time I see it, I just love it even more for some reason. So there's that. But timeline-wise, let's get right back to it. I think it's been a few days, kind of with how Jace brings it up. He comments on his thing that he has with Maya not being serious, yet his answer gives the impression that it's happened more than the one time that we saw back at the end of the previous episode in 213. So that's why I think it's been a few days, because I think that he's hooked up with Maya more than once from the impression I got from that first scene, which I'll get back to in a moment. But the episode reminder is, for me, will be the Sealy Court. Absolutely, because this is the scene I've been waiting for, so this episode will be a huge reminder for that, which I'll get back into in a moment. But first moment of the episode showed Jace playing the piano and getting interrupted by Sebastian, where they kind of talk over the fact that how Jace learned to play, actually from Valentine tortured until he got it correct. And then it moved on to the talk about girls, which included the whole Maya conversation, and then it led to things about Clary before she actually interrupted them. So there's that. Now, the episode breakdown for storylines, I picked up on 3 different storylines. First one being Alec's cabinet meeting to improve the Shadow World relations among the Downworlders. The third one being the mission to the Sealy Court as the Queen requests for Valentine's experiments. And the third one being Maris Lightwood trying to make amends with those she did wrong by. So there's that. So the first storyline though, as I mentioned, with Alec being the new leader of the New York Institute, he wants to mend the ties between all the different Downworlders. And with that, he decides to do this whole cabinet meeting where the leaders of each of the Downworlder species will come together, talk about things, try to figure out a way to happen. So in this case, Alec for the Shadowhunters, Luke for the werewolves, Raphael for the vampires, Melanor for the Sealies, and Magnus for the warlocks. Essentially, Luke is the one that really wants the soul sword destroyed, or he wants Valentine dead. Alec can't really do either one of those because it's above his, I guess you could say, pay grade, which gets Luke furious and actually taking the offer he got by a mysterious person to go and kill Valentine, which he fails to do. But because of this and the discovery that there's a mole inside the Institute, Alec decides that Valentine isn't safe at the Institute anymore, since there's someone trying to undermine them all and get him killed. Now, moving on to the Sealy Court mission for number 2. So pretty much it's essentially this is in regards to Kaylee being the killer in the previous episode of all the Shadowhunters. So Alec kind of requested a meeting with the Sealy Queen, but she only agreed to a meeting if it were with Valentine's experiments, aka Jace and Clary. So they go with Simon just inviting himself. But from this, you can take away the fact that the Sealy Queen is a kid, which threw me off. She uses fey magic to manipulate her age, according to Jace. We see her wanting to make herself an ally to Simon. She even uses her test against Clary to prove to Simon that Shadowhunters will always pick their own kind over the Downworlders. Sealy Queen also revealed that Kaylee's partner in the killings was a knight that she had killed, that the Queen had killed, I should say. So there's that. And then again, the whole kissing game that came from the book, City of Ashes, happened. And this time it was her version of justice for the bug that Simon had killed, since all the bugs, plants, and animals and all that are a part of the Sealy Queen's court, if you will, or a part of her people. So she wanted justice for that, which I will talk about that moment later on, because you know I have to. So moving on to storyline number 3. It's kind of a side story that kind of weaves into the cabinet storyline. But we see Mayor Slakewood returning and trying to apologize to Luke. She also shows her pride for Alec's promotion as the Institute leader. We get to learn a little bit about Alec as a little kid, trying to play the role of being leader when his father had that role. So there's that. And also we see 2 confessions between Maris and her daughter Isabel. And the one was the fact that Maris actually tried to come clean to Isabel about Robert's affair, only to realize that Isabel knew about it because she overheard her father talking to his mistress, and she didn't say anything because she didn't think it was her place. Plus, she never told Alec about it, so Isabel is really known for quite some time now. So there's that. And with that, with the whole no secrets between them, this prompted Isabel to confess about her again addiction, which had Mars apologizing again for putting so much pressure on Isabel and having her and herself forgetting the fact that even though they are part angel, they are also still human as well. So it was a good mother-daughter moment there. But last moment of the episode show Sebastian playing at the piano, which he claimed he couldn't do in the first moment of the episode. And he does all this before telling his own prisoner to stay quiet. And there's a destroyed burner phone right beside the piano. So take that what you will, but I will come back to that in a moment. So character-wise, though, we do see the return of Maris Lakewood. Like I said, we are introduced to the Seelie Queen. As I mentioned, her age is manipulated by magic. So there's that. And she also stated that her Seelies are the oldest of all the Downworlders, in a sense. So I don't know if that has to do with magic or that's just because they know how to survive better. So there's that. Also, we see Luke's new partner, Ollie, again. And we actually get to see her with her girlfriend, Samantha, for a brief moment. But we do get to see that they are stumbling upon some things they're not supposed to, which I'll bring back on. And then we also see the return of Melanor once again. Now, according to runes, though, we don't actually see any runes being used, but we do get the mention of one rune by Jace called the Iratzi. I believe it's the Iratzi rune, but Jace refers to it, and I'm assuming it has to do with healing because when Jace brings it up, he mentions that Valentine Iratzi'd his offending finger before he would tell him to play the piano correctly, and he would always Iratzi the finger every time it played the wrong note. So I'm assuming, or he'd always Iratzi the finger he had tortured so that he could continue playing. So I'm thinking it's the healing rune, or a healing version of it, but that was the only one I could pick up on, though. But moving on, tidbits very quickly. We get Magnus trying to support Alec as a boyfriend during this whole cabinet meeting thing, but Alec doesn't want to show favoritism at this council, which hurts Magnus's feelings. So now Alec and Magnus have to do the whole professional front thing. So there's that. We see Sebastian and Raphael arguing over Isabel. And then we also see Isabel trying to start things up with Raphael, but he turns her down for her own good. And then again with Ollie, we see her following Luke, and from the looks of it, she's been following Maya around to the point that she actually caught a photo of a wolf in an alleyway. And she actually shows her girlfriend to it. So there is that. Now moving on to the most shocking moment of the episode. Whether I read the books or not, I'm pretty sure the most shocking moment I thought of the episode was the very last scene, and that was the fact that Sebastian has someone locked up in his closet. At first, I thought it was Valentine, but then I realized that that's not possible because there's no way the Institute would have given Sebastian Valentine as a temporary hold until they gave him someone else. But I do have a theory on who that prisoner could be, so just stay tuned to my question section, and I'll bring it up there, though. Moving on to the top 3 favorite moments of the episode. The first one, as you guys probably would have known, it is the Seelie Court kiss game. In the previous video of mine, I did express how greatly excited I was for the fact that we were going to get this scene recreated from the second book, the City of Ashes. It's pretty much a scene. The moment that they announced that we were going to get the movie adaptations, I was so excited just to see how the City of Ash was going to recreate this scene on the screen. And then when that didn't happen, and the fact that we got this TV show announcement, it was like, okay, now I really need to see how they're going to do this Sealy Court scene. I have to say, it was not that bad. On its own, it really showed the, I don't know. I thought it was really well done though. There's only a few, since it's been a while since I've read that actual scene. I noticed a few differences right off the bat. And then after the whole episode played, I went to go find that passage again, and I've noticed a lot more differences there, though, that you wouldn't even think about when you're watching the episode. So the TV show did a great job in creating its own version of that scene, and I love the scene regardless, because in the books, that scene happened when everyone thought Clary and Jace were still brother and sister, and the timer just went off. So it was even more of a scandal when it came out that Clary's deepest desire was to kiss Jace and not her boyfriend Simon. And in the TV show, it's not as scandalous because of the fact that they already know that they're not blood related to each other, except for the angel blood between them, or their pure angel blood between them. So it wasn't as scandalous, but here's the major difference though. It was the fact that Jace and Simon were the ones that were actually trapped instead of Clary, who was trapped in the books. Like, she's the one that couldn't leave the court while everyone else could. In this case, Clary could technically leave, but Simon and Jace couldn't. Also, they were stuck there because Simon had killed a bug near the kill tree. And I believe in the books, it was Clary who had broken an unknown rule in the Sealy realm. And I think if I remember correctly, it's because she ate something, or she was tricked into eating something. For some reason, I think she licked away a pricked finger of hers when some blood was being spilled, and maybe that's what tricked her. But Clary was tricked, and that's what kept her trapped and not leaving until she played the game. So that was a huge difference I noticed right off the bat. And then apparently Isabel and Alec were there during the book version, so I didn't even notice that much of a difference, to be honest. It's pretty much, I solely remember for that scene, it had to be Clary, Jace, and Simon. That was like a huge thing. Also, a huge difference was the fact that Clary actually kisses both of them in this episode. It wasn't just the one kiss she had to pick between in the books. Like, she had to kiss either one or the other. She couldn't kiss them both, but in the episode's version, she did have to kiss them both, or she did end up kissing them both, and that surprised me too. I thought there would have been further repercussions if she ended up kissing wrong, but I guess we kind of saw that in the fact that the vines kind of tightened and the implications of what that second kiss actually meant. So overall, I like that it brought up something that both Jace and Clary have been burying deep inside. Jace at the beginning of the episode claims he has moved on. He knows that Clary has moved on with Simon, but now because of this, because of the Queen's game, she brought up the not a problem, but she brought up the issue of the fact that Clary and Jace have unresolved thoughts on the romantic aspect of their relationship, since it ended abruptly with the discovery that they thought they were siblings. So I just like that it brought their romantic possibility back up on the table, although I am sad that Simon has to get hurt for that, if that makes sense. And I rambled too much on that, but what did you expect? This is a scene I've been waiting to see play out before my eyes, and the song that they picked was absolutely fantastic. I've been playing it on loop since I found it, and since I've heard it, since I found it, and it's just been amazing. So there's that. Another favorite of mine, let's move on now, is the mother-daughter scene between Maris and Isabel. Long time coming, because these two, the first time we see these two together, you automatically see that Isabel is not getting the mother's love that she craves. And yet in this scene, you see the reverse. You see that Maris is trying to make up for what she has deprived her daughter of. And in doing so, it drew them closer because they both shared secrets that they were keeping from each other, as well as not sure of how the other would react to such a secret. But it truly brought them together, and I really like that. And the fact that Maris apologize. Since she's a being who does not apologize, she's one that sticks by her thoughts and just grows by them. No, everyone else's thoughts be damned type of thing. But this one, I really like these two together. It really showed the type of, their mother-daughter dynamic is definitely on the mend. Well, that's the impression I got anyways. Another favorite scene of mine, surprisingly, was actually the opening scene between Jace and Sebastian. The whole bonding over the play of the piano, and then talking about Maya and Clary, and just like having that type of a calm conversation between them, and just like no defenses, no defensive remarks, or offensive remarks even. It's just like they really were just two guys bonding and talking over what was going on, and that surprised me considering I know who these two actually are. But it was an interesting change of pace. I'll give it that for sure. But also must mentions for a favorite of mine was huge one was when Melanor Melanor thought that Sebastian was Jace, and then Raphael just telling him that we're correcting him, and then Melanor's, well, they all Shadowhunters look the same to me, type of thing. So that scene right there, that was like golden right there. It's like that was perfect, and it was hilarious as well. Also, another thing I must mention, it was funny before the whole Sealy Court thing happened. It was funny to see Simon's humor and having him compare the dangers of the Sealy Court to the dangers of middle school that he experienced. It was interesting to have that quick wit from him before he had to venture into this Sealy realm. So there was that. Moving on to top 3 peeved moments. The only peeve I really had was the fact that Ollie was snooping around. Thankfully, she was only in that one scene that they previewed, and that was it. And then a very short scene later on in the episode where she had a photo of a wolf in the alleyway. Thankfully, it was just that, though. But I'm surprised that no one is questioning it or finding it odd that she's just popping up out of nowhere and asking all these very deep or very evasive questions, or just really getting it up in everybody's business. So she's just bugging me. There's that. Moving on to what moment will I remember most when I look back on this episode? Sealy Court. Sealy Court kiss game in particular is going to be a huge thing I'm going to remember, so I'll leave it at that. So moving on to questions, guys. Random questions. I actually have a lot, surprisingly. It could be the fact that I've had a few days to think about it. But first question. Did the Sealy Queen make that kiss game up just to prove to Simon that Shadowhunters always pick their kind over the Downworlders? I'm just wondering. I think that you can't, in one way I think she did, but you can't really, for Clary to pick between Simon and Jace, you can't really do that because she has romantic feelings for both of them. You can't really say that she's going to automatically pick Shadowhunters over Simon when you're telling her to pick between two people she actually has feelings for. If it was, say, a Shadowhunter she has no romantic feelings for over Simon or over a different Downworlder, and then you had to have Clary make a choice between the two, then okay, then you can easily claim the fact that Clary, or as a Shadowhunter, broke side with the Shadowhunter or not, and stuff like that. But I'm just wondering if that was the whole motive for the Sealy Queen to make that particular game up. So there's that. Question number 2. What are Sebastian's true intentions with Isabel? That was a very good question that Raphael brought up to him. Now, Raphael's observations about him looking like a predator towards Isabel suggests one thing. It suggests that Sebastian actually has an interest in Isabel. He maybe wants to take things further with her. But then we have Sebastian's words to Jace that suggest another thing, where he describes the type of girl that Clary is, to the point that it sounds like he's really interested in her. And also we've seen in the past episode that he actually asked Clary out to dinner, which suggests that he has eyes for Clary. So it's like, where does Sebastian really, like, what are his motives towards Isabel? Like the two kind of contradict. You got Raphael's observations, and then you got the stuff that we've actually seen Sebastian do and say and stuff, which points to Clary, even though he does share a lot of scenes with Isabel too. So it's like, which is it? Third question. Why isn't Luke suspicious about Ollie's reasons for seeing him in front of the Jade Wolf? I mean, she claims to need help on her paperwork, so instead she goes looking for him instead of just calling him up and saying, hey, Luke, I need some help with my paperwork. Can we meet up? It's like, didn't Luke find it odd that not only did Ollie find him at the Jade Wolf, but she actually showed up and actually made herself present and known and made up this stupid excuse as to why she needs his help? I mean, that's what phones are for. You call up a person before you just show up out of the blue. Why hasn't Luke picked up on that? I mean, what gives? So there's that. Fourth question. What happened with Lydia Branwell and what happened to Madsy? Lydia Branwell we haven't really seen since the demonic attack that led to Jocelyn's death at the first part of this season. And then we also haven't seen Madsy since she was rescued from Valentine. So where have they been? We haven't heard any mention of them so far. So I'm wondering what's up with them. Also have another question in general, and it just came to me. But since we all know that Luke was a former Shadowhunter, I'm just wondering about the runes. Did all of his runes kind of disappear once he was turned into a werewolf? And if that's so, does that mean Shadow... Actually, I've always been wondering, like, what... We know that a human can be turned into a vampire because of Simon, but can a Shadowhunter be turned into a vampire? We know a Shadowhunter can be turned into a werewolf because of Luke, but what exactly qualifies the perfect transition target, I guess you could say? And then what is the fact that he's now a downworlder stop Luke from actually using the Shadowhunter parts he was born with? Like, can he not use a stele anymore, and can he not activate his runes? Did they just disappear from here? Does he technically not have angel blood anymore in him, or does he have a mix of angel, demon, and human blood in him? Like, I mean, what is the whole physiology behind downworlders? Because like I said, it's been a very long time since I've read the first 3 books, so I can't remember if I actually mentioned it in those 3 or if they mentioned it in the actual TV show. So if anyone has any answers, just let me know, please. And right now, I want to get to my last question. And that last question is, who is Sebastian's prisoner? Now, I mentioned as my shocking moments that I did have an idea about who that prisoner could be. But revealing that prediction right now could be a very huge spoiler for those of you who have not read the books. So, as a fair warning, because I really want to say this and put this on the record, as a fair warning, what I'm about to say will be a spoiler to one of Sebastian's secrets. So you can mute the audio now and watch the screen to know when it's ready to put the audio back on. I won't give anything away spoiler-wise on screen, so you can just watch that and kind of tell when it's safe for you to unmute it if you don't want to hear this particular spoiler about Sebastian. So here goes. For those of us who've read the books, especially up to the 3rd book, which I've only been informed of, is the fact that Sebastian Verlac is actually Valentine's demon-blooded son, Jonathan Christopher Morgenstern, right? So he's actually Clary's brother, and then apparently he also is the one who impersonated Sebastian Verlac. So it's not just a name that he just took out of a hat and used it as an alias. He actually took over the life of Sebastian Verlac. So if that's the case in the books, I'm thinking that the prisoner in the closet at the very end of the episode, what if he's the real Sebastian Verlac that Valentine's son, who we have been introduced as Sebastian, has taken over his life as? I'm thinking that might be the case. Definitely don't... I can't tell if it's possible for maybe for them to take the same face as someone else outside of the glamour charm. So maybe the real Sebastian Verlac actually looks like Will Tudor, or if Will Tudor is actually the face of Valentine's son and the real Sebastian Verlac is actually played by someone else. Don't have any clue about that. But based off the books and the fact that Sebastian is actually, the Sebastian we know being played by Will Tudor is actually Valentine's son, I'm thinking the prisoner that's stuck in the closet during the whole piano scene is actually the real Sebastian Bierlach that had the misfortune of having his life taken away from him by Jonathan Christopher Morgenstern. Alright, so that's about it for spoiler-wise. Up on screen, it's safe to listen in right now. So with that all said, let's go on to predictions. Based off the promo for 215, it's not returning until July 10th. I'm pretty sure it's because of the long weekend that's happening July 3rd, not only for Canada Day, but also for the 4th of July with America's Independence Day. So you got the whole week of country celebrations and stuff like that. So we get a rerun or not. But then we come back on the 10th where we see, apparently the promo shows Simon going down a dark path that leads to him possibly killing a mundane due to his vampire bloodlust. So there's that. We also see Magnus being called upon to transport Valentine to Idris since he's not safe in the Institute. So there's that. Based off the synopsis, though, for the episode, it reads that Simon goes down a dark path while Alec and the team prepare to transport Valentine. Now, based off the two previews that I've seen for 215, first one shows Alec growing concern for Magnus, who is secretly remembering childhood memories that he has had suppressed for centuries, only to have them resurfacing after being under that agony rune a few episodes ago. So there's that. The second preview showed Isabel trying to comfort Clary, who just wants to clear things up with Simon, but Isabel tells her that it's okay to love two people at the same time, which sounds like a very familiar quote from another TV show about a girl stuck between two guys, let alone two brothers. Hint, hint, Vampire Diaries, I'm just saying. But anyways, new questions. Actually, the only one I really have is that how can Simon's heartbreak lead him down such a dark path that gets him feeding and possibly killing a mundane? In some way, we haven't seen Simon's vampire side and how he deals with the bloodlust and everything. But I guess like how some people during heartbreak, they stress eat, or they emotional eaters, I guess you would call them. So maybe that Simon takes on the vampire version of that. But then where the hell is Raphael to stop him? But I guess we'll have to wait and see about that. But that's about it, guys. But what did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, opinions, but what you think is going to happen in the next episode. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, also check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check it out. It's a work in progress. I'm trying to catch up. I've caught it recently, but there's still some things I'm a little behind on, so be on the lookout for that. Follow me if you like having all that stuff in one place. Also, check out my WordPress account. The link for that is down below. Everything is organized over there, but it's still a work in progress, but everything I post online is connected to WordPress, so it's a little easier to find. But that's about it, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm sorry this video is so long, but I did not expect it to go this long. But Sealy Court, a scene I've been waiting for a very long time to see happening, was in this episode. I kind of expected it. But thank you again for your patience. I hope you come back. It's kind of late for me right now. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. Bye for now.